I'm in Medellin, Colombia. Medellin.
Colombia.
So
Okay. So how's that
part of
going?
good, dude. I love it here. Protests, I think, are going on literally right now. I heard them go by right when we
Really?
started. There's all these protests happening here. Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
wild.
Break it down. What's going on?
So the government decided that after 3 weeks of lockdown this month, it being May 2021,
Hmm.
so lockdowns all April, they decided they wanted to raise a tax on the lower middle class and the middle class of about 19% on things like water, food. After lockdown is put, I think it was like 4.5 million people below the poverty line. It's like a poor country, right? Um, and the people just, to help with capacity for the hospitals, but there is erroneous spending by the government here in Colombia, and they're trying to penalize the poor. And so poor people are like, nah, we're not standing for this. So there's been massive protests, um, and it's just wild, man, wild stuff.
Is this the first time that protests have been happening since you've been there? How long have you been there?
Yeah, I've been here since January, so 5 months,
Oh,
and
dang.
they did one small protest. They had a lockdown for Christmas weekend, then they had a lockdown on New Year's weekend, and the weekend after that was a holiday, so they had a lockdown. They just do these weekend holidays. You're not really even supposed to go for a walk technically, um, or these lockdowns on the weekend. The weekend after that, I mean, you know how they do lockdowns. They don't tell you how long it's going to go. They string you along.
Right,
And so
right, right, right.
they tried to add another weekend lockdown, but there was no holiday. And again, so many of these people survive on their little shop or whatever it is. There's no government, bailouts or
Funding.
unemployment or funding or anything like that. So it's
Jesus
putting a lot of
Christ.
people below the poverty line. It's not like in the US where someone goes on unemployment and they're like, I'm making more than I was before the thing. It's not like that at all.
Right,
These people
right.
are impoverished. And so there was a small protest organized then, and the government did let up. And there hadn't been any lockdowns up until recently. And really, the hospitals are really at capacity. Um, but the issue is obviously erroneous government spending. Positions have been created since COVID and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's whack stuff.
How do you feel about it? I mean, where do you stand in regards to these lockdowns?
So it's interesting. Here is interesting. There's so many ways to look at it. It's a multifaceted thing, right? And the problem in my mind is that wherever you lie on what you believe to be true, both sides of the argument are pulling for control, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um, I would be, you might call me a conspiracy theorist, but I
welcome to
definitely
the
believe
club.
in the idea of the deep state. And so I
Yeah,
think there's a deep state that perpetuates um, basically the primary goal of a Western government, which is economy focused rather than people and community focused. And so it's all about numbers, and especially in a place like the U.S., they're trying to keep the powerful powerful. And so lockdowns, like it seems like, dude, it's hard for me to really know if I feel like they work or not because I don't trust the reporting very well. There are a lot of variables in every
yeah.
scenario. Like what's the status of the country? Somewhere like here, it's different than somewhere like the US, where even if you do a lockdown, yeah, businesses shut down. That's really tough. And some cities I think should have been more mindful of that. Um, at the same time, like no one's probably dying because of a lockdown, and their life
Yeah.
is probably not over, even if their business tanks because of a lockdown, versus somewhere like here where it's much more extreme. And so I think it's a nuanced thing for sure. And I think powers at bay, yeah, they're just influenced by too many other variables to really feel like, for me to really feel comfortable saying, yeah, these statistics we have are definitely good or being portrayed by the media in an honest way, when obviously the media also has its own board
Well,
who on kind of things. So
I gotta be honest. I agree with you. If you really study the numbers, you find out how inconsistent the information is. You find out how easy it is to disprove half of these facts by like what you said. There's so many variables to the equation, and a lot of the times we're closing these places down due to what we think is going to happen, not even based
right,
on facts. And so, I mean,
yeah,
I was just telling you before we started the call that the friend of mine that I'm staying here while I'm visiting in Florida, which for the record, they don't even enforce masks anymore here.
Right.
Businesses are not enforcing masks. I have not seen any riots. And actually, a lot of the laws that just recently got passed from the governor here.
All right, thanks for watching this clip from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch the full episode, go ahead and check out us at appropriateculture.com. You can also check us out on social media platforms at Appropriate Culture. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.